Yep, I have started the recording. And so today what we are going to look at is a very interesting part of the game, which is the opening. Okay, very important because, yeah, I will tell you, Serge, why not Chess King? But because tournament play, you have to keep challenging each other on Chess King individually. So maybe someday we will play it. But what Live Chess does is that you simply register and you keep getting the new opponent. So it is much easier that way. That's why we play on Live Chess. Plus, there are you can also analyze your games better on Live Chess. So I'd send you a link. So that is the reason. So fine. Okay. So let us forget it. So let me minimize. So what is the thing is, so today we are going to look at opening the game, and I'm going to teach only 5 basic principles that you need to remember at this level. Okay. 5 things, if you remember. I hope that is not too much. Okay. And because I never recommend learning so many things by heart and without understanding, memorizing them, etc. I never recommend them. Okay. So I will just talk about 5 things. And if you follow these 5 things, right, all the way, not only in level 1, even level 2, you are opening, you would always be playing good moves. Okay. So please attain, let us pay attention to. Yeah, opening a game means starting the position, right? What do you play? Initially, both the armies are at the back and then you are starting the game. So let us say first 10 moves, okay, roughly 10 to 12 moves are called as the opening phase of the game. Okay. So, yeah, Roy Lopez. Okay, Rohan knows Roy Lopez. Beautiful. E4, E5, NF3, NC6, BB5. Okay, so I hope that is the Roy Lopez. So like that, there are many openings, many names are there for openings. And why it is important is that, see, initially all your pieces are at the very back, right? So you do not have central control. We have learned about the importance of center. We have learned about the importance of giving scope for your pieces, right? So what is the Roy Lopez? I will teach later on. That you don't need to know right now. Okay. Somebody knows, fine. You can Google and you can find out. That's okay. But you don't need to know. Okay. But yeah. So what you need to know is how fast as many of your pieces come into the play means they are doing something. They are putting something in threat. They are controlling some key squares, etc. Okay. And I will show you what this means, and then we will go to how to go about it. Okay. So look at this position. Okay. I'll make it fit visible. It is no fit width is better. Okay. So fine. So just look at this position, and looking at it, what do you think? Is white better or is black better in this position? You can send it on chat. I will. Each one of you give your opinion in this position, whether white stands better or black. Okay, Ruhi is saying white is better. Rohan is saying white is better. Saharsh is saying he's confused, but Archit, Himika, Agampreet, Chaitanya, even Saharsh is saying that he is now white. Okay, so yes, you and all of you are right. Okay, so white is clearly better here. And okay, Netra has also joined. That is good. Netra is joining. So, yep. Yeah. So in this position, I had asked who is better, and I think everybody of you have answered that it is white is better. Okay. And why? I think it is very clear, right? See, black's knights are developed to the edge of the board where half the power is not there. Black has opened his rook pawns. Okay. uh, so which again are the side pawns, and black does not have any stake in the center, which is the most important thing that we had said. Versus white, look at it, how both the central pawns are moved 2 squares. They are occupying the 2 key center squares, plus they are attacking 4 other central squares from c4 all the way, sorry, c5 all the way to f5. Okay, white's knights are developed to their natural squares, and they are having full power because at c3 and f3, all 8 squares are within the within the chessboard. So none of their power is going out of the chessboard. Plus they are controlling some key central squares. Knight c3 is controlling e4 and d5, and knight f3 is controlling d4 and e5, right? So this is beautiful for white. This is what you should aim at, okay? And you should never play like what black has played, okay? Because you know that in this position now white has got a tremendous advantage. In fact, if you ask me to play, I will say white is already won here. Black has no chance unless you make some mistakes, okay? So that is the thing. I will say, though materially everybody has got the same pieces, same pawns, everything is same. If you ask me, I say black is already lost, okay? So that kind of a thing is there. So now that you know, so I'm going to tell. So how do you achieve? Because see, after these pawns, both the bishops can move to beautiful diagonals. Knights are already developed. Queen has got a chance of moving up the board also. It has been thing. And now as soon as white plays the bishop out, either on bishop c4 or on e2 or d3, then white will be ready to castle. Okay, black is several moves away from castling, right? So this is the reason why. Okay, so yeah, I think at beginner level sometimes we'll play like this. So it happens. Aidan, you have to remember, I see that you like moving your rook pawns first, but remember that central pawns moving is better. Okay, so yeah, so we will now see. So just remember these 5 rules and you will be okay. Okay, rule number 1: starting first move, it should always be with either e pawn or d pawn. Okay, and in the first 3 moves, try to move both the pawns. Okay, if you can move them to the both the 2 squares, it is well and good, but sometimes it is not possible, in which case at least one pawn should move to 2 squares and the other pawn should move 1 square at least in the first 3 moves, 4 moves, so that uh, a you have got some central control, and b, your bishops get a scope for opening. Okay, so it is very important. I want all of you in first move should always be either e or d. Right now, this is an order, you can take it. See, can you do something else? Yes, but after you know a lot of things, then you can play other moves. But right now you are just learning, so just follow this. Always open with either e pawn or d pawn. And if you are white, you should open it with 2 squares, not just open it with 1 square, not e3, d3, e4 or d4. Okay. Similarly, black side, you play either e5 or d5 in the first move. Okay. Obviously, you should not allow your pawn to be captured for free. That much you should take care. But within that option, choose the option which will allow you to do this. And then maybe one next move, maybe you can move a bishop or you can move a knight. But within third or fourth move, your other central pawn should have also moved. Okay, very easy to remember. I hope there is nothing complication. It is as simple as anything, right? Fine. So that is the rule number 1. Okay. Rule number 2, always remember that in the opening, you should develop your knight, not move. And develop means the first move is called as developing. Okay. So when the first time the knight moves from say G1 to F3 or from B1 to C3, right? That is called as development. So always develop the knights to their natural squares. Okay, F3 and C3 for white, F6 and C6 for black. Try to do that. Don't put it on A3 and H3 or H6 and A6. Okay. Sometimes you will have to learn after some 2-3 levels you have gone ahead and you have become mature. Then you will realize when sometimes this rule can be broken. But at this point of time, don't break this rule. Okay. Always knight should go to F3 or C3, F6 or C6. Clear? All right. What is the next third rule? Support your pawn if attacked. Don't let a pawn be captured for free. Just look at it. Okay. If the opponent is attacking it, you should defend it or you should exchange it off. That is okay. Okay. And on the other side, look for opportunity if the opponent is giving some pawn for free. If he is not defending it and you have the chance to kill it for free, why not? Get it right, you get 1 point ahead. So always look at this rule number 3. Preserve your pawns and try to capture the opponent's pawns as long as you are not getting into a disadvantage. Okay. So that is there. Then so far so clear. Third rule is also very simple, very clear. Okay. Fine. If it is not clear anything, then please put it on the chat. Okay. All right. What is the fourth rule? Develop at least one bishop before moving the queen. Sometimes you make this, you get tempted to move the queen too much early. E4, E5, queen F3. Yeah, it's okay. Maybe 1 month back when you had just joined the course, it would be okay to play like that, but not anymore. Okay, E4, E5, don't move the queen. Move the knight first, move another pawn first, move a bishop first. After that, so I would say that rule number 2 says that knights you should develop first. Okay, which means that at least one knight should have come out. Okay, then bishop should have also come out. So at least one bishop should have come out before your queen moves. So which means that E or D pawn should have moved. Knight must have come out. Bishop must have come out. This is the minimum before you move your queen. Okay, don't be in a hurry to move a queen. And the last rule is prepare to castle your king. Now you have learned about castling. You can castle on the king side or you can castle on the queen side, right? So prepare to castle your king. Okay, so these are the 5 things that you should do. And if you do this well, just remember like anything. Okay, these are the only 5 things that I ask you to remember. I'm not asking you to remember too many things. These 5 things you remember, and in every game that you play, try to see that you are not breaking these rules. Okay, this is your task now. Okay, so in today's practice, take some time to ensure that you follow these things. Okay, and then you yourself will notice that your opening is better, and you are not having a thing, you are having a better position. Okay, now okay, who is asking? Okay, Agampreet is asking, is that so? When need to castle, it means that the king should not move to any place. Yeah, king could, if the king has already moved, then you cannot castle, right? That was one of the rule. King should never have moved already. Okay, so no, I'm not sure what Rutvij you are saying. After castling, you will need to move one pawn forward. I don't know what you mean by that. After castling, I don't know. That is your option choice. It is not compulsory. But yeah, you should try to castle your king within. Okay, that is a different thing. That h3 or h6 move you make to prevent something coming forward. Yeah, that is there, but you will fine. You will realize it. No. Ruhi, you have missed last week's class. Maybe okay, I may not have uploaded it on YouTube, but you just check it. I will not show it again, but you can say check it in the handout and then on the recorded session. Queenside castling is simply king moving 2 squares to the queen side, which means that king E1 will go to C1 and the rook will come to D1 for the white, or for the black, the king will move from E8 to C8 and the A8 rook will come to D8. That is the queen side castling. Okay. Both castlings are okay depending on the position. Fine. So far so good. Everything. Have you? Okay. There is one more tip. If you don't want to lose the games early, may or may not happen against another starter beginner, but slightly better player. If you move your pawn to F3 as white or to F6 as black, most of the times you will fall into trouble. Okay. And no, who is this Lou Boys? I don't know. Someone has entered the waiting room. I'm not going to allow him to enter because they have given a name as. Okay, okay. Let me put the class window. I will only allow known people to enter. Okay, fine. So I don't know. Sometimes in Zoom it may happen. So no, I don't want to do that. I think whoever, yeah, everyone in the no, he has gone away. I think whoever was there has gone away. But anyway, I put it on the WhatsApp. So if so, that's why please put your names on when you are joining so that I know. Okay, all right. So coming back to what I was saying. Okay, coming back to this. So F3 if you move your pawn, or F6 if you move your pawn as black, it may lead to disaster, or it may lead to bad positions. Okay, and I will show you one example, but hence you should not. So let me first check back whether you have remember all these 5 rules are okay. Is there any confusion? Is there any doubt about this, or you have not understood any of these rules? Okay, fine, good. Okay, everyone, if he has got it, then it is very simple. Now that you know the rules, now only remember them and apply them. Okay, and you will be good. Fine. I will go to some more tips that I wanted to give. Yeah. Oops, sorry. I don't know who is. No, let it be. Fine. Okay. So look at this position, second position, and see whether white and black have applied the principles that I talked about. 5 principles. You tell me uh, whether it is they have applied or not. Search is saying no. Why? Why is Search saying they have not applied the principles? Rohan is also saying no. Why? Why are you saying it? Please tell me which principle they have not followed, white and black. Now you're turning your answer to yes. What does it mean? If you are really thinking it is no, then that is fine, but you have to tell why it is not. Okay. Agampreet is also saying no. Okay. You have to tell me why you think, but I feel that both of them have played properly. Okay. Can you unmute? Can I unmute you? What is Harsh saying?
Sir, the thing is that they have did the principles, sir. They have done all the things correct.
Okay. So it is answer is yes. No, it is not no then, right? Correct.
Yes, sir.
Fine, fine. Okay. So yeah, because see, they have moved the e pawn. Both of them have moved the e pawn to 2 squares. Very good move. One of them has moved also the d pawn. Both of them have developed their knights to the natural square. White has developed his knight to f3, which is good. Black has developed his knight to f6 as well as knight to c6, which is again very good. White has developed his bishop to c4. Black has also developed his bishop to c5. Very good move. And after that, both of them have castled. Right. On top of that, white has played c3. Normally, you would not play c3. You will play knight to c3. But there is a reason why. Why? No, they are not completely copied. It is similar but slightly different. See, there is a c3 and a d3 on the white side. And what white is trying to do is he wants to next play d4. Okay, so that support the central pawn d4. Black will try to attack it and try to exchange it, but then white will take it back, and that is the idea. Okay, but they have played so far very good, right? This is how you can play. Okay. uh, okay, I still, who is Lou Bois? I don't know. Okay, fine. So let it be. So this is an example. Okay. Now I am just giving you some additional reasons why you do this, right? This you can read it. I'm going to very quickly read it, but you can check it in the handout. aim of the opening is to get all your forces into play, not just one or two, right? This means that both of your knights, both of your bishops, and at least one rook can join the party. By join the party means join the fight, right? That should be your objective. Both knights, both bishops, at least one rook. Okay. Knight on the rim is dim. This is a saying because half of the power is lost if it is on the rim. Okay. Okay. I don't know. Now Medhansh has joined. I don't know whether he was the one who was having the name Blue Boys. I don't know. But okay, Medhansh, now you are in. Fine. So yeah, remember this. All of you remember this. Knight on the rim is dim. So you should play your knights to the natural squares. And this is a reiteration of that. Natural squares of the knight are f3 and c3 for white, and f6 and c6 for black, right? Then I have also explained here, see what is the thing. Knights are ready to, from these squares, why they are so good squares? Because the knights are ready to jump to g5 and b5 for white, okay? Let me show what happens in this. Let me try to take a board here. Let us say, let us move some good moves. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6. And I'm telling why it is good move for white. Okay. And what, please read what I'm saying. I've already explained, right, Sarsh? What does knight on the rim is dim? Rim means what? Edge, periphery, right? So knight, if it is there on the edge of the board, dim means what? It is like not too powerful. It is half the thing, etc. Right? So that is what we have seen earlier also, right? If the knight is on the edge of the board, then half the power or even more of the power is lost of that knight. That is the meaning of knight on the rim is dim. It is just a simple saying so that you can remember it. Okay, coming back, what we were saying is from the natural squares, the knight are ready to jump to g5 or b5 for white to attack the c7 and f7 squares. We'll see it what it means. Similarly, black are ready to jump back. Okay, I will show you what it means. So in this position, e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Let us say, assume black plays knight f6. It's a good move. It's not a bad move, but I will tell you what is the possibility that I said. This knight can jump here, g5, and together, do you see the bishop and the knight are attacking the f7 pawn, right? So this is what is the meaning of basically. So even without jumping, the knight is doing a very good job because it is controlling the e5 and the d4 squares. Not only that, it has got this option of moving to g5 from which it can attack the f7 square, right? So all of this is possible, and hence similarly, if you look at the not in this position, but let me say, suppose if bishop what do you want me to say? Okay, if bishop comes out here and then white plays this and knight comes here, and let us say white simply plays something like this, then black also has got this option of this knight can come here and attack this square, right? So these are very good opportunities. Not that every time you should play it, but these are the possibilities in case white is or the other side is not playing properly. So these are the things, and hence you should play your things to the right, to the natural squares, because they are very good squares for a reason. Okay, Eden had raised his hand. So Eden, if you have a question, please try. Okay. All right. Okay. So let me go back to the thing. So yeah, so we had seen this. Then, okay. Then the other last thing that I had said is white should develop his light squared bishop. If he develops it to c4, then black's f7 pawn is under attack. So this is what we have seen here. See, white is eyeing this diagonal and black is eyeing this diagonal, right? So this is how they can attack, right? Not, it doesn't mean that they're winning, but you never, it's not that you win in one move, right? You have to create a plan, you have to attack something, and then the other side will defend. And if you attack more vigorously and the other side is not able to defend, then you can win something, maybe a pawn, or maybe you will win a knight, and that is will be one step towards winning, right? So this is how the battle happens, and this is how it should happen. Okay, so now try to remember and try to play like this, so that you get a position like this as black or as white, and not like this as black. Okay, this, if this type of position you get as black while playing black, then you can very well say that you have not understood the opening principles. Okay, I'm going to talk about the chess software in a different class altogether, so no problem. All right, fine. Okay, so what I wanted to very quickly do is that 2 minutes I'll take, and because I'll continue on this in the next session. But yeah, if you remember Scholar's Mate, right, which we had talked about at some point of time, right? I've just tried to show it what happens in case the black does not play properly. Okay, e4, e5, queen h5. Actually, it is not a great move, and I can tell you why, but you should know how to take benefit of it. If you do not know, then what happens is queen h5, black thinks that white is only attacking the e5 pawn, so black develops the knight to the natural square, knight c6. It is actually a good move, no problem. Okay, but next move, white plays bishop to c4, attacking this, and if black is not careful, he simply moves this knight thinking that he's attacking the queen, but the queen and the bishop battery are attacking the f7, and it will lead to the checkmate, which is called as Scholar's Mate. We had seen it in one, probably some class earlier, I don't remember, I think so. But yeah, so this is a possibility. Then there is one more possibility which we will see it probably in we will try to see it. If you simply try to copy, right, then what happens? I will show it to you on this board. Yeah, e4, e5, nf3, and black copies. Black plays knight f6. Okay, let me make this as the main line. Okay, now white is attacking the pawn. What did I say? Black has not defended the pawn. The pawn is available for free, so white takes the pawn, right? Now, but black, what he is trying to do is that, oh, I'm going to do exactly what you do. So black says, I'm also taking your pawn. Okay, now at this point of time, no problem, I will tell you the Scholar's Mate separately. White plays queen to e2. Okay, now tell me what you will do as black. As black, what would you do? Retreat. Okay, let us see. So Kiran, Preet, you are saying that knight will go back, right? Retreat, because it is attacked by the queen. But this is going to lead to a disaster immediately. Okay, knight f6. Okay, I am playing knight to c6 check. This is called as discovered check. Because why discovered? Because the check is given by a piece which is not moved at all. The knight has moved, but the queen is giving a check because queen was behind the knight. And guess what? Black is lost. Can you see why? Black is already lost. Let me see if you can see why. It's a check. What will you move? No, there is a place. I mean, you can block. Do you remember the ABCs of the checks? What will you do? A, first avoid. Avoid is not possible. You're right. B is block. Block. There are two ways that you can block it. In fact, there are three ways. But the third way is that you are losing the knight. If you play knight to e4, white will take the knight and again give check. So no point. Then you can do bishop to e7. But what happens after bishop to e7? Yes, queen is lost because knight is already attacking the queen also. So while you are blocking it, Knight will next move, knight will take the queen on d8, and against a knight, if you get a queen, I think even you should be able to very clearly win it after this, right? The opponent's queen is gone. So this is what may happen if you simply copy some moves and then do it. So don't copy the moves. Some difference is okay. If it happens to be like that, it is okay. It is not that we should never play symmetrically. It may happen, but you should have good reasons rather than just saying that I'm just going to copy what the other guy is saying. That should not be the case. So that way, actually, I will show you what happens even if black plays this, which is better move, queen to e7. Okay. Even then, white becomes one pawn ahead because white will take this knight. Now black cannot take this knight again. Can you see? See, the symmetry breaks down. You cannot continue playing the exact symmetrical moves. Okay, I will promote this variation and we'll see it. So white has taken, I think now black cannot take the knight. So what can black do? Black can, because the knight is pinned, he can attack it. This is a okay move. This is a relatively okay move. Okay, the knight cannot move now. This is called as pin. Knight has been pinned. Okay, it cannot move because if it moves, then the white queen will be lost, right? So there is no way that that this one can be done. So so in this position, what for white, the best move is to play d4. See, remember why d4? Again, it's a good developing move of e or d pawn, moving 2 squares, freeing up the bishop, and at the same time supporting the pawn. So now black will take the knight, but after this, white should again take back with the pawn, and white is one pawn ahead with a slightly better position. Okay. Knight to f7. No, where was that? That is not. No, at this point of time, if you do knight to f7, it doesn't help because black will simply capture the queen. Okay, so it doesn't help, Ashish. White is a, sorry, then black is one because black has got a queen. So, yeah. So, yeah, so this is, I just wanted to leave you back with these two things so that try to follow the principles that I have put out in this. I'm going to share this handout with you. So what are the rules? I have given it first. I have given the 5 rules, and then I have given why. I have explained it in other things, why you should be doing those rules that I have said. Okay. All right. I just explained what happens, what is the thing, etc. So please remember this, and this is what you should try to follow now onwards. Not just today, but now onwards, you will play with these principles. Okay. Open with E or D pawns. Develop the knight first. Support your pawn if attacked. Kill opponent's pawn if not supported. Develop the bishop before the queen and prepare to castle your king for safety. Okay, these are all the 5 principles. Okay, all right. So that is what I had for today. And now you can go back and enter the tournament on Live Chess. I'm going to stop the recording.